Hey, it's the Empire, Geoboxing Empire, Backshore Boxing. Now, man, Vergil Ortiz bought Egidijus Kavaliauskas, and man, that was a war of attrition. That fight was a phenomenal fight. A lot of people thought that Vergil Ortiz would walk through Kavaliauskas. Some people thought it might be a war, and man, that fight was back and forth, and it was everything and more you could want in a fight, right? It had action-packed. This had counter punching. It was waves in the moment where Ortiz was winning, and then Kavaliauskas would have a rally, and then Kavaliauskas have a rally, and then Vergil Ortiz would have a rally. It was back and forth for sure, but at the end of the day, Vergil Ortiz got the job done by the best way possible. Vergil Ortiz has all knockout ratio, man. The guy has 18 wins, 18 KOs, and he definitely stopped Kavaliauskas as well by dropping him multiple times to end the fight. Now, it's wild, man. I mean, like I said earlier, 18 wins, 18 KOs. It was a spirited affair, and I understand that Vergil Ortiz, the kid, knocked him out in round 8, right? Now, it was back and forth, like I said. It was basically them trading. In the beginning, Ortiz was boxing, and then as soon as Vergil Ortiz got hit with those power shots, he decided to go to war with Egidijus Kavaliauskas, and that's what basically happened. After basically Kavaliauskas hit Ortiz and dropped him, the ref didn't say it was a drop, but the guy got hit and fell. He got dropped, flash knocked down, hit it once, fell. He stood up, popped up real quick and said it didn't affect him. Ref said continue, and then at that point, Ortiz was not boxing; he was going all out war. And that's basically what happened. This fight was extremely action-packed. Ortiz, basically two-handed fighter. He started landing straight rights, left hooks, and just overwhelming Kavaliauskas to where he couldn't think anymore. And it was basically a mano-a-mano fight, where the alpha will win. And the alpha was Ortiz tonight, man, keeping his undefeated record. Now, man, that being said, man, Vergil Ortiz called out Terance Crawford after the end of the fight. He said that he wanted to fight Terance Crawford, and a lot of people don't know if he's ready yet. This was a war, like I said earlier, and this will be an interesting fight. Now, a lot of people were talking about how Terance Crawford looked against Kavaliauskas. Now, Crawford did get dropped by him as well, but people were saying that Ortiz does things better than Terance Crawford when he fought Kavaliauskas. Now, Kavaliauskas said that he respected Ortiz's jab better and his power more than Terance Crawford. So, take it as you may on what you think of that, right? Now, if you actually watch Terance Crawford box, when he boxed Carol Brook had a shorter reach than Terance Crawford, and he was able to out-jab Terance Crawford. So maybe Kavaliauskas was on to something right there, because when it came to the battle of the jabs, Carol Brook was winning that fight. As far as jabs came, it came to that simple thing, right? So is Ortiz jab better? Maybe, but me, including a lot of people, think that Terance Crawford is a big step up. Not only is Terance Crawford seen as the best welterweight in the world, but he's seen as a pound for pound #1 fighter, because he became undisputed at 140, and then he came to 147. And not only did he come to dominate at 147, but he's been stopping everyone by knockout, right? He's a multi-division world champion. He was the 135 champion, 140 champion, became undisputed, had all 4 titles at 140, and then came to 147 to get the WBO title, stopping Jeff Horn, and he's been on a roll, stopping everyone ever since, right? This is the equivalent of Vergil Ortiz fighting at 147, getting a title at 154, and then stopping a whole bunch of guys at 160. Three divisions is not no joke. So that being said, man, Vergil Ortiz is still young. The guy's only 23 years old, and he's trying to build his brand. Now, me personally, man, I think Vergil Ortiz will get in the fight. Is he ready for Terance Crawford? These are one of the fights that can be made. They're both under top rank, so I don't see why the fight couldn't be made. I believe he's with top rank. But yeah, so it's an easy fight can be made. A lot of people are talking about him versus Jaron Boots Ennis or Conor Ben, his peer, top contenders coming out. That would be a really good fight, man. I would love to see Vergil Ortiz versus Ennis Boots. We'll see what happens with that. but Vergil Ortiz is better for him to fight up here than the Terance Bud Crawford right now at this stage of his career, because while he can gain the WBO title, Terance Crawford tends to end careers. When he stops guys, they're never really the same. Look at Kell Brook. He stopped him pretty bad, hit him one time clean, and he took a lot of clean shots from Triple G, took a lot of clean shots from Errol Spence, but Terance Crawford hit him one time clean, and that was all she wrote. Same thing with Amir Khan. Terance Crawford hits you one clean time. He don't look like a power puncher, but he is, and the world changes for these guys, right? So that being said, man, when Terance Crawford gets upset, or you hurt him or you hit him, and he gets mad, he wants to impose himself on you. We've seen him do it against Kavaliauskas, and that wasn't a war. That was Terance Crawford getting hit and him just punishing and destroying Kavaliauskas. So Vergil Ortiz, man, he looked good in the fight though. I'm not trying to talk down the guy, but a tough task is something that's it's an understatement. We don't know who could win the Terance Crawford versus Errol Spence fight. Errol Spence has beaten the who's who out the welterweight division, right? He's beat Sean Porter. He's beat Danny Garcia. The list goes on and on. Kell Brook, about who my boy Errol Spence beat, and even in that fight, that's a 50-50 fight between Terance Crawford and Terance Bud Crawford. Vergil Ortiz, I know they're trying to just get him on to the top dogs, but this Egidijus Kavaliauskas fight leaves much to be desired by Vergil Ortiz. Now, with inherent styles in boxing, it comes with a cost. There's no such thing as a fundamentally sound power puncher. It's not a thing. When you look at power punchers in the history of boxing, they've never been the most technical fighters, right? They've never been the most defensively sound. So Vergil Ortiz Jr., him being a hyper-aggressive fighter with all knockouts, he's going to do some things in the ring that you may not like, but he's doing it because he's trying to stop you, right? So that being said, man, Vergil Ortiz is an extremely exciting fighter. Some people want the whole package. Can that happen with Vergil Ortiz? He'll be the first fighter I've ever seen in boxing history who will be the most fundamentally sound boxer if he can box, have a high boxing IQ, and be a power puncher at the same time with all knockouts. That would be something I never heard before. And Vergil Ortiz Jr., can he do it? Sure he can. Will he do it? Fighting a high IQ fighter like Terance Bud Crawford, who can switch stances, who's a known boxer, who can time people who are faster than him, like Amir Khan, or fight different styles like Victor Postol, Eastern European fighter, or can go in a dogfight and fight people toe to toe like Jeff Horn, who imposed himself on Pacquiao, and Jeff Horn was bullying Pacquiao the whole fight in Australia. Terance Crawford has fought every single style there is, and he did it while boxing. He didn't really change his style. He just made adjustments. Not only did he make adjustments, but he even switched stances and everything as well. Terance Crawford, when he goes softball, he's a two-handed fighter. He's not just a one-handed fighter; he's two-handed. But anyway, man, I thought I'd talk about the Vergil Ortiz and his win, and what would happen to Vergil Ortiz if he fought Terance Crawford. I think it's a good fight, but Vergil Ortiz needs to iron out the wrinkles in his game before he tries to fight a big dog like Terance Bud Crawford. Good win for Vergil Ortiz Jr. We'll see what's next for the kid, man. Maybe he can, I don't know, man. Maybe he can fight like a Soto Carras or something, Josecito Lopez. I'm not too sure. Vergil Ortiz, he hasn't really fought any big name PBC fighters. Let's keep it honest. He's fought, I think, Morris Hooker. I think he's not with PBC. Egidijus Kavaliauskas, I'm not too sure. But besides the last two fights, a lot of those fighters aren't PBC fighters. If they are, they're not big name ones. So that being said, to me, I would like to see him fight some of these top PBC fighters or some elite ones that would get his feet wet, so maybe he could work in some things besides going all out. Because what happens is when you try to change these fighters, you try to train them to box. They'll box until they get hit. Mike Tyson said it best. He's like, everyone has a plan until they get hit. He got hit, and then he went back to brawling. He went back to power and war. In my opinion, my boy Vergil Ortiz, he went to war with Hooker, and he went to war with Kavaliauskas. He's gonna go to war with the one and get caught. All it takes is one punch, right? So we'll see, man. Maybe he can, get his defense a little bit better, box a little bit more, not too much, but just a little bit more, and not go to war every time. Make it easier for himself because he's technically sound. Has good punches. He just needs to place his feet right. And some people can box better coming forward. Maybe Vergil is just that kind of fighter. Not all fighters can move and box at the same time. It's extremely hard. Sometimes it's easier to impose yourself on them. But anyway, man, Vergil Ortiz looked good this fight, man. Let me know how you guys feel about it, though. I thought it was a good win for him. Egidijus Kavaliauskas is not a walk in the park for sure. I always rated him high. A lot of people didn't give Terance Crawford any credit and said, oh, he was exposed. He got hit one time and he got dropped. He was exposed. But, it's counterintuitive because you have to give Vergil Ortiz credit for fighting Egidijus Kavaliauskas because he was always an elite level fighter. If you demean him, you're demeaning Ortiz's win. And this is definitely Ortiz's toughest win he had because he got dropped. Whether you think he got dropped or not, he got hit and he fell. I don't know what to say to that. Right, this is a tougher fight because Egidijus Kavaliauskas was a true welterweight. He's not a smaller fighter moving up like Maurice Hooker. The guy is a welterweight. He's a welterweight fighter. So that being said, man, let me know how you guys feel about it, though. I think this is a big deal. It was a good fight for him. Good step-up fight. Good entertaining fight. Typical Mexican style. Let me know how you guys feel about it, though. Like, comment, subscribe. It's the Empire. Gio Empire. Peace. Gio Empire. Peace.